Episode 91.
I've weathered your attack. Now, isn't it my turn?
As he spoke, he retracted his protective barrier. Bringing his hands together, he suddenly pulled them apart, and a massive, crescent-shaped blade of azure light materialized between his palms.
Try my Azure Lake slash.
Then, the shimmering blade of light shot toward the two men opposite with a piercing shriek. The onlookers gasped in shock. It was clear to everyone that the Morong brothers were in no state to cast spells, let alone defend themselves. The youths panicked. After a frantic glance around, they split up and fled into the crowds on either side.
I'm no saint. If I knew I was being used and didn't get the hell out of there, I'd be an idiot.
At the youth's command, the flying azure lake split in two mid-air. With a flick of his wrist, the two halves diverged, continuing their relentless pursuit of the fleeing boy. As luck would have it, one of the youths, noticing that Han Li had a relatively deep reserve of magic power among the onlookers, made a beeline straight for him. Han Li was immediately taken aback.
I have no intention of getting involved in this. That young man, no matter how arrogant and overbearing he is, wouldn't dare openly harm the Morong brothers. At most, he's just trying to scare and toy with them. So, I'm definitely not going to be the one to stick my neck out. Besides, that kid is far too cunning. He's clearly trying to use me as a human shield. I won't let him have his way.
Han Li's body gave a slight sway and he vanished from the spot.
The youth lunged at empty air and, furious, let out a string of furious curses.
Hey, why are you running?
Seeing this, the boy had no choice but to scramble away in a frantic, stumbling retreat. With a thunderous boom, the ground in the direction the other youth fled began to tremble violently. Dust billowed into the air, and a man's furious curses rang out.
They actually dragged me into this.
Clearly, not everyone was as wise as Han Li. Some ended up playing the role of a living shield. As the dust settled, a thick earthen wall several zung high stood blocking the way. A crescent-shaped groove several sea long had been carved into its surface. Behind it stood a stocky, short young man in his 20s. He was carrying a strange wooden crutch, one hand pressed against the wall as he cursed up a storm. Right behind him, sticking close, was another young man from the Morong clan, wearing a broad grin.
What's the meaning of this, little Luo? Can't you see there are other people here, and you're still attacking? Are you planning to cut me down along with him?
Senior brother Lu ignored the stocky youth's accusation. Instead, his face darkening, he poured all his energy into controlling the remaining half of the cyan fox blade, suddenly accelerating it in pursuit of the youth on Han Li's side. Judging by the trajectory of the green fox blade, he really meant to leave a permanent mark on the boy.
Stop.
A young woman's sharp cry rang out from beyond the sky. A blazing firebird descended from the heavens, swallowing the cyan fox blade behind the youth in one gulp before vanishing in a burst of flame.
Who broke my spell?
The young man, surnamed Lu, looked up. There, hovering above the crowd, was a woman in blue. Her skin was like polished jade, her features radiantly beautiful, and her bearing ethereal as a celestial being. She possessed a slender willow-like waist and a long, elegant neck. Dressed in blue palace robes, her hair was styled in a high, elaborate bun, giving her an ethereal, almost untouchable aura that made one feel unworthy to look directly upon her.
So it's junior sister Ni. I was wondering who possessed such formidable magic power.
Senior brother Lu, for my sake, how about we call an end to this match?
Since it's junior sister Ni's wish, I'll of course comply.
The palace-robed woman gave a slight nod and, without another word, descended from the sky, walking directly towards the Morong brothers.
Senior sister Ni, you came just in time. We were about to get our butts handed to us.
The boy who had just escaped danger broke into a wide grin at the sight of the woman in blue and ran straight toward her. Meanwhile, the other youth also came bounding around the earthen wall, a broad smile on his face.
Go back and reflect on your mistakes. You are not to leave until you've mastered the 9th layer of the technique.
Hearing this, the Murong brothers immediately became crestfallen, their heads hanging low as they accepted the punishment. After dealing with the two brothers, the woman in blue turned her gaze toward the stocky young man. Her smile was so dazzling it seemed to dim the very world around her.
Thank you for your help, senior brother. If anything had happened to junior brother Murong, I would never have been able to face our master.
It was nothing.
The men around him saw the special treatment he was getting and couldn't help but feel a pang of envy. They all deeply regretted not being the one to step forward earlier.
The sheer envy in that gaze could have pierced him through 1,000 times over. Seeing this, the Lu youth's eyes flashed with a venomous glint, but he masked it in an instant, maintaining his refined and elegant demeanor. No one else noticed his odd behavior, except for the woman at his side and Han Li, who was watching with a cold eye. Although junior sister Chen was also a stunning beauty, she paled in comparison to the woman surnamed Ni. So, the moment the woman in blue appeared, junior sister Chen, fearing senior brother Lu would be captivated, immediately rushed to his side. She grabbed the young man's arm and fixed the newcomer with a hostile glare. The woman in blue certainly sensed the other's hostility, but she paid it no mind. As she led the Murong brothers away, she cast a faint, almost imperceptible glance in Han Li's direction. Then Han Li's ears were immediately filled with the woman's pleasant voice.
Your magic power is not weak, sir. However, I cannot agree with this self-serving conduct of yours. I hope you'll be different the next time we meet, junior brother.
It seems my self-serving actions were all seen by her, and they've left a rather poor impression. I'm no saint. If I know I'm being used and don't get the hell out of there, what does that make me? An idiot? That guy didn't just look out for himself, but now he's caught the eye of that Lu fellow. He could be dead any day now. And when that time comes, a great beauty like you, what, you're going to avenge him?
For some reason, Han Li had absolutely no interest in these stunning, peerless beauties.
I've always found those simple, unassuming girls much more appealing.
He didn't care in the slightest what impression he made on this senior sister Ni. He just hoped she'd pay less attention to him. By now, the woman in blue and her companions had vanished. After shooting the burly youth a final venomous glare, senior brother Lu left the mountaintop with his female companion. With the show over, the remaining crowd quickly dispersed. As for Han Li, he piloted his flying artifact straight back to the 100 Herb Garden. Once inside his room, Han Li immediately retrieved the 2 jade slips. He selected the one containing the method for refining the Foundation Establishment pill and began to read it, word by word. Han Li's mind was racing, but his expression remained utterly still. Only after several hours had passed did he finally let out a long breath and set the jade slip down. But then he fell into deep thought, concentrating intently. After a long moment, he finally sprang to his feet. Frowning deeply, he strode into the herb garden and began scanning the plants inside the hut.
The 31 supplementary ingredients like the 1,000 Wonders flower, black burn grass, and gold crystal stone are no problem at all. The garden has all of them. The only requirement is that they be old, centuries old in fact. But the main ingredients, jade marrow fungus, purple monkey flower, and heavenly spirit fruit are a real problem. There isn't a single specimen of any of them here, and I've never even heard of them.
Han Li hesitated for a long while, but finally decided to ask someone. Naturally, that person had to be the little old man who was an expert in pharmacology. Having settled on his plan, Han Li picked up the other jade slip.
Making this beauty preservation pill is much simpler than the Foundation Establishment pill, Han Li mused. It doesn't require true flame for refinement, and there aren't any ingredients I don't recognize. They're all quite common varieties.
The only thing that made him click his tongue was that the herbs used as ingredients for the face-preserving pill all required a potency of over 1,000 years. No wonder he'd never heard of this pill before. After all, What cultivator who gets their hands on a 1,000-year-old spirit herb wouldn't treat it like the most precious treasure in the world?
Why would they waste it on something as useless to cultivation as an everlasting beauty pill?
This is why the beauty preservation pill is a little-known secret in the world of cultivation. But for Han Li, this wasn't a problem at all. It just meant the cultivation process would take a little longer. So he decided that once the matter of the foundation establishment pill was settled, he'd try to refine a batch and see if it was truly as miraculous as the formula claimed, if it could really preserve one's appearance at the moment the pill was taken. 6 or 7 days later, when the little old man returned to the 100 Herbs garden to collect ingredients, Han Li didn't bother with any pretense. He stood right in the middle of the garden and asked directly about those 3 rare herbs.
Jade marrow mushroom, purple monkey flower, heaven spirit fruit. So, you've already gotten the recipe for the foundation establishment pill, nephew. You don't actually plan to refine the pill yourself, do you?
Of course not. I don't even know what those 3 main ingredients are, let alone where I'd find the 100-year-old supplementary herbs. Even the oldest plant in my garden is just a century-old fire dragon grass. Under these circumstances, how could I, your junior, possibly entertain the thought of alchemy?
If you're not planning to refine pills, then why are you asking about these 3 rare herbs? I'm a busy man. I don't have time for idle chatter.
Han Li had already anticipated this elder Ma's eccentric temperament, so he wasn't the least bit flustered.
I just found the names of these 3 main ingredients rather unusual, and I've never heard anyone describe their appearance or medicinal properties. So I was curious and asked on a whim. But what puzzles me, Uncle, is why there isn't a single specimen of them in your medicinal garden. Given how rare these varieties are, Uncle Master, by your usual practice, would have gone to great lengths to obtain seeds and cultivate them in your garden for collection and use. Could these rare herbs really be so difficult to cultivate that even Master Uncle couldn't manage it?